You don't get a pass by saying, look, I only brought them in, they're a separate company, they're not part of my company. They are part of your company. They are acting in the good faith of your contract with your client. And so why wouldn't you do the due diligence on these companies? Hi, I'm Gavin Coyle. I'm the Gaffer podcast. Thanks very much for joining us today. And today's discussion is going to be a really good one. It's about supply chain management and the due diligence of your supply chain management. Let's get into it. So what are we talking about when we look at due diligence of your supply chain management? Well, supply chain management is everybody that's connected to your business, that is a contractor or a supplier of goods and services to your business. It's a really interesting one because we find with a lot of construction companies that a lot of their due diligence is actually down to maybe having worked alongside another contractor on another job, and you got a good feeling for that contractor and you've seen how they operate. You kind of said to yourself, look, I like the guy or I like the woman, I like the way they do business, I like their style, I like their professionalism. The client loved them as well. So a lot of really good on the job experiences are great, tick the box in terms of doing the due diligence. But do you really know the companies? Are you sure that you've done your proper due diligence on them? And that's what we want to discuss today. Like, how do you do the necessary due diligence on these companies? So one of the ones that we always ask construction owners is, have you done any sort of financial background checks on these companies? And it's amazing the amount of individuals that would say to us, well, we're not familiar with how to do that. Like, is that something that our accountant would look into? Or, how do we actually gain that information? That information is freely available to a point where you can download information, financial accounts. So, for example, if it's a limited company, they register obviously their accounts once a year, and that information can be accessed. So there's some really good websites. I'm not going to get into any specific ones, but we'll leave a couple of show notes in the description of some links. And for like $6 or €6 or £6, you can download a full report on these companies. And in that report, like, you'll get a credit score, for example. And that's really important information to get, because these platforms are really good at looking at all the risks within that particular profile of that business, and then being able to collect all that information and then giving a risk rating score for that particular business. Really good information. It's like, even if you were considering buying another contractor or considering, doing a takeover of a particular construction company, like, you can get this access to this information, maybe spend an extra few pounds. It's only probably up to £20 to get a full detailed report of everything about that business. And within these reports, it pulls in information about the directors, the shareholding agreement, what does that look like, how many shareholders are in the business, has there been any prosecutions on that business, and when was the last time they filed accounts, how much are they making a year. And you can nearly work out, between the assets and the liabilities and the revenue, whether that company is healthy or not healthy. And obviously the score will tell you, and it actually, in a lot of cases, these platforms, they'll tell you whether this company is actually solvent or insolvent, or don't touch them because they've got a bad history. Cannot believe the amount of companies that actually don't even do that. So I know you're friends with some of these companies, and you want to continue the relationship with them. But the question is, back to, do you really know who you're dealing with? Like, do you really, really understand? And it's not as if you're doing something behind their back. It's a very good risk management basics, is what we would say, in terms of knowing who you're attaching to your brands, because obviously it's brand reputation for you. You've built up all these clients, and you've built up this reputation, and you're bolting on these contractors or suppliers to you as an extension of you and your brand. So, we've seen how it can go completely wrong, because when it goes to the likes of court cases, or it goes to the newspapers, it's your brand that's going to be up in the bright lights. it's not probably the contractor, and you're probably going around telling everybody, hold on, that wasn't my fault. I didn't know that these guys were as bad as they are, or they had this problem, or whatever that is. And so you're getting tarnished with the same brush, and it's no excuse for you to turn around, or you don't get a pass by saying, look, I only brought them in, they're a separate company, they're not part of my company. They are part of your company. They are acting in the good faith of your contract with your client. And so why wouldn't you do the due diligence on these companies? Another thing to look into is obviously you can get some really good software that, say for example, you didn't know this company at all, you didn't know where they were coming from or whatever else. Achilles, for example, will be one of the ones in the industry that probably is most known by most of the companies. And a company would have to go on to that, and they would have to answer a load of questions and have to upload a load of documents, and then there's obviously another scoring, benchmarking, rating system within that as well. I know it's got far more elaborate these days, and it covers everything from modern day slavery right the way through to everything else. So, I'm not saying, if you don't have the budget, that's fine, you don't have to go down that far, but, you can see how companies on larger scales, have such a big supply chain management system that they have these platforms that helps them. Now, that's not to say that something's only as good as the paper that's written on, and you can write anything on anything, like paper never refuses ink, correct and 100%. So you probably need to challenge the information that's been given to you. So when you do ask for a set of accounts, that you go back to that report, a credit score rating report that I spoke to you about, and you kind of go, well, am I getting the right information here? Is this guy actually giving me the right information? A great one that we find that not many people are doing is understanding the capacity of that contractor to deliver the work that you're looking for them to deliver for you. And what I mean by that is companies are constantly tendering for works, and obviously there's word of mouth negotiations going on as well. So I got your number from so-and-so, said you were great, can you give us a price for X, Y and Z? So I think we fall into the trap, and construction companies fall into the trap of well, I've now selected a really good guy, I know these guys are going to be really good for us, and that job is going to start in 2 months' time. Looking forward to it, can't wait for it. This guy is also tendering for other jobs. He's not relying entirely on you, because if he's relying entirely on you, that's not a good business model for him. So how do you know how much work these guys have taken on? No one really asks the question. It's bizarre to me that there's companies out there that don't get a full hold of what's on this guy's books this year, and how can you be fully sure that this person is going to be fully dedicated to you and has a dedicated team. And everybody knows that the labor market is the supply and demand is under savage pressure at the moment. We understand that. And so what these guys are doing, and you're probably doing it yourself, is you're outsourcing a lot of the functions to other companies and other individuals. And look, there's no issue with that whatsoever. But the more you rinse out the supply chain management, the more you dilute your own brand, and the more you start sort of coming away from your own values, your own mission statements, your own strategy, your own culture. And so we're very conscious when we're talking to people about harnessing and making sure that you do not lose control of the quality and of the culture and of the risk management of your business by outsourcing it to the point where you're just basically an agency, and you've lost that uniqueness and that touch point with the clients and stuff like that, because they're not stupid. They're going to look at it and they're going to go, yeah, what's the point in using this guy? He's just contracting everything out. And then the big risk for you obviously is, all these companies are coming with their own values and their own sort of ethical or unethical practices, and they're coming with their own biases, and they're coming with their own sort of safety standards, whether they're up or down. And how do you sort of get them all together in terms of under your umbrella? And then how do you know that they're not, you know, over doing it in terms of the amount of work that they're doing, and they're, you know, they're not able to deliver the quality. So you're actually probably getting some of the not so good workers because he's had to take in other companies, and he has a good relationship with you, and he knows that you're not going to really test him that much, and you know, and he's diverting the good people over to the bigger clients, shall we say. There's no reason why you shouldn't expect the best and demand the best. But if you don't have the barriers and you don't have this sort of systematic approach to managing your supply chain and managing the due diligence of your supply chain, you're immediately allowing that poison to come into your company, and you're allowing that toxic environment to develop. And it's too late when the problems start arising. You're too far down the road. You probably have that contractor halfway through a contract, and you're looking at it and going, this guy's actually caused me more problems. He's not turning up to work. He's just outsourced everything. He's underpriced the job to get the job, and then he's you know, brought in substandard labour because he can't pay the right guys to do this job. And like, you know, with the best will in the world, that's your problem. You've created that environment. You have to take ownership for that situation. And we see it time and time again. It was like people, oh, I can't, it's disgraceful the way this guy has treated me, and I've trusted this guy, and blah, blah. No, you have to take ownership for the fact that you've allowed this company to come into your environment, and you've allowed that. So you know, we talk about ring fencing or creating this moat around your company, that you only allow the best of the best, and you only allow the ones that you've actually done a full thorough due diligence on, and you only allow companies under certain levels. So you might say to yourself, right, if they don't have X amount of insurance, if they don't have X amount in the bank, if they haven't got X amount of jobs under their belt, if they don't have, I want to see CVs. Like, this is I cannot believe in this day and age that, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're a plumbing, heater, electrician or whatever, you know, if you're bringing another company into your environment, CV on the table. Who are you bringing? How do I know them? I want to have an interview with them as well. Which guy is the guy that's going to supervise the job? You wouldn't believe the amount of times that we found out through that process that although the organisation chart said that they're going to have a site manager and a supervisor and a project manager, actually the only person that was going to be on that job was a supervisor. But paper doesn't refuse ink, and your man wanted to have this lovely fancy little organisation chart with all the real high-end people, and, you know, it looked brilliant in the organisation chart. But when we challenged the company and said, well, who actually is this guy going to be on the job full-time? Well, actually no, he bounces around all the other jobs, so he's not the project manager for this job. No, the supervisor is going to be the man on that job, or not even the supervisor. In some cases we've just seen the tradesman, the guy that's on the tools is actually going to be running the job, but he's doing the job as well. It's like, you know, but because you accept it, and this is, I suppose, a great lesson to take away from this is you've accepted that, and then that's become the norm. You know, you got to challenge everybody. You got to put everybody on their toes in terms of, look, I know if I'm going to come for working for Gavin's company, he is going to go through me like he goes through everybody else, but it's a fair and it's a transparent process. And I know that if I'm going to work with Gavin, you know, I need to be on the ball, and our guys need to be on the ball. But, like, you know, don't be afraid and thinking to yourself, well, yeah, that's very well for Gavin to say, but, like, I need to get these guys on the job, and if I start asking these guys these type of things, they're just going to walk and say, look, I'll get a job somewhere else, I don't need your work. If that's the case, they're going to walk anyway, and they're the same people that when the stuff hits the fan, these guys are going to throw you under the bus. And believe me, you 100%, when it comes to them or you in a them or you situation, they're going to pick themselves, and you can't blame them for that. 100%. You know, they're just going to run for cover, and they're going to put the guards down and pull back and go, you know, I'm going to protect my own moat, if you like. So, you know, you create your moat, you create your structure, you create the boundaries of which you operate with, within the business environment that you're in. And believe it or not, talk to clients. The clients feed off that because they see that there is a proper system and structure. Use it in your tender process. Do you know we have this very stringent scoring mechanism within the company? So tell me about that, Gavin. What is that? Well, we have a benchmark scoring system within the company. So we look at them based on quality. We give them a rating out of 10 on that. We look at them on safety. We look at them on budget. We look at them on, we went out and we look at least 4 or 5 of their jobs every year. Even if they're not working with us, we still send out a representative to go out and look at the work that they're doing and to talk to some of their clients to see, are their clients happy? No, don't be shy about pulling people in and saying, look, I want to work with you. I'm doing my damnedest to get the best work here and get the best prices. But if I'm going to do that, you're going to have to work with me, and you're going to have to be an extension of who I am as a company and what culture and what ethics I have as a business. And, if we're to take something away from that today, do it. Do it today. Start looking at just, the key contractors or suppliers in your chain and say to yourself, if something goes wrong, is that person going to throw me under the bus? Your answer is going to be yes, right? So what are you going to do about it? Let's start creating a scenario where, and if they're struggling, that, it might be something on, this guy's useless on paperwork, or this guy's useless on safety paperwork, or this guy's useless on putting the numbers together. But look, I'll help him, because at least he's put his hands up when we done the due diligence and said, look, your scoring is not great on the coming out on the, you're not pricing these jobs correctly because you haven't allowed for X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna put my QS with you for a day. If you want to charge him, that's fine. And say, look, for the whole day, he's going to figure all this out for you and give you a proper format or formula. So you're not setting them up for failure, and that's a very important part or point to make within the discussion here is you're not creating tripwires for the contractors. If you really trust them and you really want to do work with them, embrace them and help them, and they will respect you for that. And then, it's not a case of, well, I've all my cards here and I'm not going to show you my cards. If you can help them by extending some of your information to them, that's going to make them better, which is going to make them more aligned with your system and your processes and your business ethics and your mission and your reputation. And for everybody, you want everybody coming together in harmony and having a culture that feeds into the client. And so when the client is looking at the next job, they're going to go, I want exactly what you're doing with us on the last job for the next job. And it doesn't matter whether they're contractors, because the client won't know any different then, because they can see. And clients these days are more in touch, as you know yourself. Clients these days are more in touch with what's going on their jobs than ever they were. Before, it used to be, you'd only see the client walking around with the architects. Now the client is down there talking to the guys on the ground. How are you doing? How are you getting on? Are you enjoying the job? What are you doing? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. They even probably know more about some of your guys than you know yourself. So, you want your people to be part of the sales process as well. You want your people to be selling themselves as very confident, very professional. They know exactly how things are done within the business, and they're comfortable because they're working for a great company like yours. I'm Gavin Coyle. If you want to learn more about how to do things the right way, or to download some free tools, templates, resources, training, go to gavin-coyle.com. We've a load of stuff on safety there that can help out the small to medium enterprise builders. We even have a free model where you can just download as many documents as you want for your business, put a logo on it, edit it for yourself, make it specific to your own business. We're here to help. We want to help, and we want you to succeed. I'm Gavin Coyle. I'm the Gaffer. See you on the next episode.